This video will show you how to navigate in MindTap. When you open up MindTap, you'll see a screen that looks something like this. If you don't see the Start Here folder, that may be because you're not looking at Outline View. So click the icon shown on the screen for Outline View to get a screen that looks like this. One of the things that you should do the first time you log in to MindTap is to check your browser settings. You can do that by using this drop-down menu and clicking on System Check. And you can see that my browsers are working properly. You're going to have to set up pop-ups if they aren't already enabled. And there's some information in Blackboard on how to do that. I wanted to show you a couple of features. There's a help screen here, and as you saw on the drop-down menu, there's also a frequently asked questions area. You can also search the course for particular content. You'll notice that when screens open up in MindTap, there's a little X in the upper right-hand corner, and that's how you close a particular screen. Over here on the right-hand side, there are quite a few features in MindTap. We aren't going to be using all of them, but one of them that you might use is My Notes if you want to make notes in the textbook. Also, we won't be using this, but there's an RSS feed of information in the news about data management. That might be helpful for your data management research paper, but we don't necessarily need to use that. There's also a dictionary. There's a glossary that could be very helpful to you. And as you see, it opens in the space on the right. If you want to make it full screen, you can click the icon in the upper right, and then to close it, click the X in the upper right. The textbook is available online in your browser, but it's a little bit easier to read if you follow the instructions in Blackboard and download the MindTap app to your mobile device. But if you want to read the textbook in MindTap, you can make it full screen and then page through the book, or you can hyperlink to specific areas. Let's page through a few of these. Or you can use the menu that I clicked on in the upper left to go to specific chapters. If you want to print individual pages, you can do that. You can also activate the reader to listen to the book, and you can change the font sizes, and on each of the screens there's a little help area. And to close this, click on the X. There's a study hub area where you can put some notes. The read speaker, we won't be using the See Now homework or the Connect Yard, the IQ. However, the flashcards might be something that you'd be interested in for testing yourself. What you can do is, for instance, this flashcard says information. You can flip the card to find the definition of information, just as a little test for yourself. And the last item on progress we're not going to be using because your progress is going to be tracked in Blackboard. We're just using the MindTap system for the resources for the course, not for actually tracking your progress. What you'll want to do is click the Start Here area, and there's a video associated with how to use the MindTap reader in your browser. I've included in Blackboard a video for how to use the MindTap reader on your mobile device. Whenever you click one of these resources, it'll open up in a new window as shown here. Click the X in the upper right to close that window and go back to where you were. One of the things I wanted to point out is that there are different icons within MindTap. The folder icon is something you're certainly familiar with, and then there's an icon to indicate each one of your assignments for the week. If you click that, there's an icon for the textbook, a different icon for videos, and an icon to indicate the PowerPoints. I've also included the names to make that easier. One of the things you can do is collapse all of the folders or expand all of the folders. So that'll save you clicking if you don't want to have to click through each one of the items. Within each week, there will be areas for each assignment, and the names will be the same as the names within Blackboard. So for instance, to do your week 1 discussion board, here are the resources associated with that. One of the things I'll point out is that when you're looking at your resources, for the textbook, the chapters are referred to as modules. So if you're reading the textbook on your mobile device, it'll say Chapter 2, but in MindTap it will refer to that as Module 2. They mean the same thing. In order to close a folder, you hit the little up arrow over here. One of the things I'll point out is that this course builds upon previous weeks. So when you're doing an assignment, let's say in week 3, you may need to refer back to some resources in week 2. So an easy way to do that is to either use the Expand All feature or use the Search feature to find the spot in a previous module or chapter that you're looking for a particular week's assignments. All of the weeks are set up pretty much the same way. The one exception is week 4, where you'll be doing some SQL assignments. So in week 4, when you open up the area, you'll see a list of problems. Within Blackboard, your instructor will specify which problems you have to do for a particular week. You certainly don't have to do all of them, but for whichever ones are assigned, what you'll do is click on that area and then click on the Start Assignment Now. On this screen, you'll see that there's a database schema, and over here on the right, you'll be writing your SQL query. I'm going to paste in a very simple query. One of the things that I wanted to point out is that the query is case sensitive. The table name is employee in all caps, and in your query, you'll have to include it in all caps. There's a button on the lower right that you can click, and that will give you your query results, and you can check that versus what you were expecting. We're not actually going to submit the assignments in MindTap. What you'll do when your query is working the way you want it to work is you'll highlight the query and copy it. You can copy it using the Control-C command, and then pasted into a Microsoft Word document that you'll submit in Blackboard. In order to close this area, click on the X in the upper right.